You're watching WCSD Cable Television from Calloway County High School.
College athletic events like football and basketball are not only entertaining for their fans, but they can also generate a lot of money. That makes promoting your team an important part of a successful program. Hello, and welcome to Calloway Connections. I'm your host, Caleb Spain. Today, we have the pleasure to talk to Mr. Dave Winder. Mr. Winder is the Assistant Director of Athletics and the Director of Media Relations here at Murray State University. Good afternoon, Mr. Winder. It's good to see you.
Well, Caleb, thanks for asking me to come in. I've been looking forward to sitting down with you on your segment.
My pleasure. Well, we'll begin this conversation with our first question. So, being the media arts or media relations director, that seems like you have a lot of hats to wear day to day, the different jobs you have to do.
Well, we do. We've got over 300 student athletes at Murray State, and at times it gets really, really busy. If you take the fall, where you've got football, soccer, volleyball, cross country all going on, and then we get to that early February part where basketball kicks in. We get very, very busy. And then kind of over the winter, you've pretty much got two basketball teams to worry about. And then when we start getting into February, that's when your baseball, softball, track and field, golf, and tennis, they start kicking in. So we have over 100 home events that we have to cover each year at Murray State. And that on a home event, that includes stat keeping, PA, photos, video, if we're carrying the game live. So it's not just me. I've got a staff of 3 other full-time people and a bunch of students at Murray State that help us, and they do a great job. And I love it because when I came back to Murray State in 2001, I was coming back home to the place I was once a student athlete, and I've always just loved Murray State, loved being there, and I'm in my 16th year now since I came back in 2001, and there's not a morning goes by when my feet don't hit the floor that I don't look forward to coming into Roy Stewart Stadium and seeing what's on tap for that particular day.
Well, speaking of Roy Stewart Stadium, as a racer fan, many of us enjoy the new OVC Digital Network that you have going on.
You know, that's amazing because we're in our 5th year of OVCDN, and this will be our 3rd year of doing 80 plus live events. Similar to what you all are doing here with student workers. That's what we do at Murray State. For example, tomorrow we're going to have Tennessee Tech over at Racer Field for a doubleheader softball event, and we're going to have 4 or 5 students on camera. They're going to be directing. One of them will be doing announcing. So to me, it's been a great lab for our broadcast students at Murray State to not only go through their curriculum and then do those things that they would get as far as projects from their class, but now they can branch out with us in athletics and get some real hands-on experience with setting up the equipment, running camera during the game, keeping the graphics on the screen while the game's going on, and doing broadcasting and just punching the buttons on what we do. So I'm really proud of the effort that the Ohio Valley Conference has been able to do, because it's not only going on at Murray State, but all of our conference members have done a great job with elevating our schools and our conference with so many live events. We've had basketball and football games that would have upwards of 3,000, 4,000 people watching. Now, they may not all be watching every second of the broadcast, but by and large, they're watching. I'll never forget, Tony Romo was with Eastern Illinois as a senior, and of course he was All-America quarterback, and he, of course, just retired recently with the Dallas Cowboys. And actually, I said Tony Romo, I meant Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy was the next great quarterback that came after Romo, but he was at our place during his senior year, and our viewership tripled that day. But because not only Eastern Illinois fans are wanting to watch Garoppolo play, it was a national audience, really. And we had an internet problem about halfway through the first quarter, and my phone was just blowing up. And I think we missed maybe 5 minutes. It wasn't long, we were back up. But that day was probably one of our highest viewed games when Garoppolo played at Stewart Stadium.
So could you give us maybe a look into the Hourglass on this network? Or could you maybe say that us Racer fans will be able to see more broadcasts next year on this network?
Well, we can't do much more than we're already doing because our guidelines set by the OVC is we must do every home football game and every home men's and women's basketball game. So we're going to do every one of those. But it's always been my philosophy in the fall, if we've got a soccer match on a Friday, we're streaming it. If we got a volleyball match that Friday night, we're going to tear it all down. We're going to go over to Race Arena and we're going to stream it. So we're doing about everything we can. And I've got the same view of it when we get into the springtime, and we're doing, this year we planned on 46 softball and baseball games. Of course, Mother Nature has something to do with that. Sometimes you get rained out and you can't do the game, or they play in the rain a little bit, and obviously we can't have our equipment outdoors like that if it is going to be bad weather.
Okay. And so one more question before the break.
Yep.
With your rich background of experience, what would you say to young adults that want to pursue the career that you have with media relations?
Well, I think the whole ball game has changed, say, in the past 10 years, and it's all got to do with the social media rise, because I believe now the days of just being a TV anchor, or just being a camera person, or just being a newspaper writer, those days are over. I think nowadays you've got to be able to do it all. You've got to be able to sit up here and be able to do a show. You need to know how to go out on your own with a TV camera and be a one-man band and produce a report. Obviously, you need to write well, and you need to learn how to write for news, and you need to learn how to write for maybe expanded content. And it doesn't hurt to be able to know your way around a still camera so you could take good still pictures. It doesn't hurt to know web content and basically the back end of websites like GoRacers.com. And then it also it doesn't hurt too to be able to learn any other skill you can pick up along the way, like graphic design. I mean, do you know your way around Photoshop, InDesign, Lightroom, some of these other graphic programs where you can, because nowadays you produce content for your Twitter page, you produce content for Facebook, Instagram, it just goes on and on and on. And so I think we're in a great time right now, because if you can do several things, and I always look at things through the prism of the great game of baseball. I'm a baseball guy, but if you can catch and play middle infield and maybe pitch a little bit, you're more valuable to your team because you could play more than one position. It's the same thing here. If you go out and look for a job and you've got all these different skills that you can do, employers are going to find out about it, and you're going to have a better chance of not only getting that job, but then also staying there.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for answering all these questions. We will continue our discussion right after this short commercial break.
You taught him how to hit a baseball, how to hit a receiver. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
Thing that would
Hello. We are back from break, and we have a few more questions for Mr. Winder. Now, Mr. Winder, I know that you do a little bit of photography in your free time.
I do. It was, I guess, of course, I've always been a video person, but we have a full-time video guy, and he takes care of all that now. And I guess it was maybe 3 years ago, I just had the feeling one day after we had redesigned GoRacers.com to where, for the first time, and if you look at a lot of college athletic websites, they're going to a much bigger picture on the front page, to where the picture is the first thing you see. And we've got 7 rotating stories on our front page of GoRacers.com. So, and then each sport has 7 rotating stories. So at any time that you go to Go Racers and click on the front page and then go to football or baseball or whatever, there's 87 pictures that are always visible on our website. And it just hit me one day that I don't need to rely on other people to get me good pictures anymore. We're going to invest in the good equipment, and we bought a good Canon camera with 3 good lenses. And then to myself, as being the director of the department, I thought, I've shot video before. Surely I can learn how to shoot still photography. And it's one of the best things we've ever done, because now I've basically turned myself into the official photographer for Murray State Athletics. So I'm at every home event. Even if my partners are taking care of the stats, I'm taking pictures at softball. And then when I'm on the road, I'm able to take good pictures. And it's really, I think it's really gone over well with all of our coaches, because they're getting better exposure. And again, we talked about that social media component of it now. A lot of these pictures are used in our graphics that we put out on Twitter and Facebook. So I've found it to be just it's a hobby of mine now, and I'm looking forward to someday buying my own equipment, because right now the equipment we have is Murray State's equipment. But I've got a couple pictures here. You asked me for a couple, and it really is true, the old saying that a picture's worth 1,000 words. I won't give you 1,000 words, but I'll give you a few here. This is Duncan McCormick. He's a young man who graduated last year from Murray State Golf, and he's from Union County up in Morganfield. And this picture was taken at the place I'm going to be going in 2 weeks. It's at Muscle Shoals, Alabama, at the Shoals Golf Club, and that's where the OVC will be holding its men's golf championship. But I think this was on the 14th hole, and I'm on the other side of the green, and I'm elevated on top of a big mound of earth that's on the other side. And I love shooting bunker shots, but as you can see here, and it's just dumb luck, the ball almost looks like it's sitting on his nose. And I've shared this picture with Duncan. He's since graduated from Murray State, and he said he was going to frame it and put it in his office someday. But anyway, I always thought that was a pretty neat one. And then this one is from the 2015 OVC Soccer Championship. And this is Harriet Withers, and she is going into her senior year this fall, and she's from Australia. Just a delightful young lady, and probably the best player ever to come through Murray State since we started the program in 2000. This was the semifinal against Morehead State, and we were scoreless with 30 seconds to go in regulation time. And they made a mistake at midfield, and she picked the ball off and started driving it in. Now, I have a 400 millimeter fixed lens, which means you can't zoom in. So the way you zoom is you get further back or you get closer. And I'm right next to the Murray State bench, and when she took off with it, I knew that what I was shooting was going to be really tight. I couldn't come out and get the whole goal with her and the goalie and the ball going in. So I just stayed on her, and when she scored that goal and she turned around, I mean, is that a picture of just pure joy or what? So the Racers won that day. They went on to beat SEMO the next day and then played in the NCAA tournament. So that's Harriet Withers there.
That's great.
And then this one is from 2015. The Racers had just beaten Morehead State. You all remember Cameron Payne, who's now with the Chicago Bulls. Cameron basically said to his entire team with 2 minutes to go, we're not losing this game. I think the Racers were down by 13 with 5 minutes to go and came back and beat Morehead State. And of course, at the time, Dr. Bob Davies, our current Murray State president, I think he'd been on the job maybe about a year, maybe a little more than a year. And that is TJ Sapp to the left, Jonathan Farrell in the middle, and Jarvis Williams to the right. And Dr. Davies loves athletics at Murray State. He's at games all the time. He was just at one of our golf tournaments last week. He always shows up at our games, and our student athletes appreciate that very, very much. And he was there to greet those 3 guys after a big win as they're walking off the floor. And of course, they're a lot taller than he is, and I thought that was a neat part of the shot. I didn't take this one. This is from Tab Brockman, which a lot of folks in Murray know Tab, and Tab shoots a lot for me as well. And Tab's really the one that kind of got me interested in photography. But Tab Brockman took that one, and I just thought that would be a good picture to share with you all. Yeah. Of course, the next night, Belmont hits a 3-pointer at the buzzer and keeps the Racers out of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, but I mean, it seems to me like the president is more of like a student president than anything. Everybody knows him, everybody loves him.
He's done a great job. I'm so glad he's here, and like I said, he understands that athletics certainly has a place at a university. It shouldn't be elevated higher than it should be, but it shouldn't be diminished either. He realizes that it does have a place, and I know our student athletes really appreciate it when he comes around to games.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Winder, for this very important and very informative talk today.
Caleb, thanks for asking me to come in, and I'll come in and help you all out anytime.
No problem. Well, again, this is Calloway Connections, and I'm Caleb Spain, signing off.